Hi guys, Dan Viggy's Ju-Jitsu. Today we're going to be looking at the sai. Okay, so the sai is associated mostly with Okinawa and Kobudo-Jitsu. It's actually a common weapon in all sorts of parts of Asia, so similar weapons to this appear in Indonesia, China, India. So it's unlikely the Okinawans invented it. It probably came originally from India, moved east through China, and as with many things in Japan and Okinawa, was introduced from China. So really it's a truncheon. Although it looks like a dagger, it's more of a truncheon. So some of these would have had points on the end that would have been sharp, and you can use them for stabbing. Others actually were used as blunt weapons, so often in law enforcement back in the day, before firearms, they would use these. So it's more of a truncheon than a stabbing weapon, okay, but it could be used for both. So parts of the sai, we've got the monuchi, which is the long shaft up the middle, okay, the primary element of the weapon. So that's the part that's used as a truncheon, for striking. Okay, so this is the monuchi. We've then got the two yoku, which are the prongs at the side, and they would be used for trapping. So they could be used for trapping, entangling clothing, or for trapping blades. So primarily this would be used against a bladed weapon. So in the hand of a skilled practitioner, you could block a sword blow from a katana, say, using a pair of these typically, and then you could either disarm the attacker, or if you were really skilled, you could actually break the blade and neutralize it that way. So these would normally be used in pairs. Okay, so very, very versatile weapon. You've got the straight line stab or strike. You've got the reverse strike, which you can use to give a more powerful punch. Obviously you're punching with a small target area and a hard surface, so it'd be much more powerful than using your fist. And traditionally, historically, these would have had rounded or sort of bulbous butts, so they would have done more damage. Some of them would have had a bit of a spike on this end as well. So imagine the damage you could do striking someone in the solar plexus or the face with one of these. These modern training ones, they have a flat end for safety. Okay, but if you look at photos of some of the earlier models, and they did vary quite a bit. There are all kinds of different designs for the butt here, and that can be used as a weapon in its own right, as well as the tip. Okay, so as well as striking, stabbing, you've also got blocking. So holding it flat in a reverse grip along your forearm, you can block a strike from, say, a bow staff or a bladed weapon, and it would give you a lot more power and safety in your blocks here. Okay, and as we said, the trapping, entangling, we can use the yoku here to get into clothing, drag people to the ground, entangle wrists, arms, all sorts of things. So it's a very versatile, interesting weapon. They were mainly used in pairs because when you defend against a sword, you want to have a pair of them so you can block effectively and capture that blade. Okay, so there's two main grips for this that we use in Gozoku Jiu-Jitsu Kobudo syllabus. So we've got the standard grip, which is with the monuchi extended, and for that you want to have your thumb on the sort of knuckle where the blade and the yoku meet. So thumb is there and the knuckle of your index finger is on the other side, so we're pinching the weapon between the two to control it. Okay, we don't want to have fingers over here, the thumbs over here, because imagine if you're blocking a sword coming down, you're going to lose your thumb, lose your fingers. Not very effective. So when we're in this standard grip, this is the position we want to be in. The second common grip that we use is the reverse grip here. So here you have the monuchi along the length of your forearm. So if you're using this for blocking, typically you want to make sure that it's in contact with your forearm, not flailing about here. That would be very useful. So we keep it along the forearm, and it should be about the length of your arm. Okay, maybe slightly longer, so you can do some stabbing motions. But effectively that's what we're doing. And for this grip we have the index finger along the length of the scar, the hilt. Okay, so this is the position you want to be in, and you have your fingers and thumbs crossed here for control. Now, key thing with the sai is grip changes. So all the kata you'll see people doing with sai involve a lot of rapid grip changing, and that's where a lot of the skill of this weapon comes in, because they're quite heavy. They're heavier than they look. But to really switch between this reverse grip where you can strike, trap or block, and then flipping out for a strike, a blunt force trauma to the side of the head perhaps, is typically how that would be used. So it's this rapid switching that's important. So to switch grips, if you start in a reverse grip, holding it out, I don't want to be just letting it rotate around my thumb here. That's cheating, and you're very easy to disarm this way. So if someone strikes you or you move as that's going on, you'll probably drop the weapon, which isn't very useful. So from this position, I want to be bringing my fingers over the top and then starting to take that grip over the top of the hilt, the scar, and then use that to whip it out. Okay, so again, we're from this reverse position. Fingers come over, we're reaching around, and then we flick out and we end in this pinched position between the thumb and the forefinger. Okay, and then from there, you're going to feed your thumb back through and reverse. Again, we're not just flicking it so it's caught in the crook of our thumb and finger. Again, that's cheating. So if you're in this position, thumb through, control it around, and make sure you're switching this hand position so you can keep control of the weapon all the time. Okay, so you can start practicing here, striking out. Now when you do a strike, you want to bring it in, extend the arm, reaching over, and we're flicking out, and the tip of the Minucci should be about level with your eyes. So imagine you're striking towards the temple side of the head. Okay, so this is for a side strike. We come in, strike out about eye level and along our own centre line. We're not doing wild strikes all the way out to the side. Okay, let's keep it under control, striking into the centre. So this is a really good warm-up. Just practice your grip switching and your side strikes. Okay, so make sure, stop and check yourself every now and again that you're in a correct grip. What you don't want to end up is bad habits come in and you start ending up in this position. Okay, because again, if that was a blade you're defending against, you probably lose your index finger. So that's the side strike. You can practice strikes with the butt, so we can just go into Kibadachi and we can strike out along the centre line, practice the strikes. Safety point here, don't bring it back and stab yourself in the ribs, that's pretty painful. So just think about that, start off slowly so you can get some accuracy and power and intensity. Okay, so that's your second exercise. Thirdly, we can go with an over the top strike. So again, we're bringing it in more or less in front of our face, the side of our head. I change my grip, so I'm changing my grip from this position, and then I'm coming downwards on, say, the top of the head or onto the nose, bang, and that's your flick over the head, and again it's down the centre line. Okay, so those are your main two grips. Standard grip, reverse grip, and there is a third grip which we don't use in Kazoku, where you can hold it by the Minucci, and you could use that again if you were doing trapping or striking with the butt. You can potentially use this grip, or if you wanted to throw one of them, but we don't do that. So Kazoku Jiu-Jitsu, Kobudo syllabus, there are 3 Sai Kata: Sai 1, Sai 2, and Sai 3, which get progressively more difficult. And that's the end of this short video. I hope it was useful. If it wasn't, you can breathe a sigh of relief.